Hi, I'm Kayla. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk to you about what happened in 2025 and what I'm doing differently in 2026. And this is going to encompass my reading goals. It's going to encompass the way that I am sort of building my own little curriculum for things I want to learn this year. And yeah, so let's get into it. Okay, so last year I read 40-ish books and I had a good time reading them, but one thing that I noticed that I struggled with was feeling really pressured to read more than I wanted to. And what ended up happening was instead of finishing as much as I wanted to, I just kept feeling like I was behind and then like giving up on a lot of books. And so towards especially like the end of the year, like the last quarter of the year, I did a lot of like picking things up, putting things down, and it was beyond just simple like mood reading. It was like I must have picked up like 15 books that I put down. It wasn't like a DNF situation. It was just like I was so overwhelmed by everything I wanted to read that I just didn't do anything. I don't know if anybody's ever felt that way, but it's something that I've done in the past. Like I've psyched myself out in this way in the past, and I don't want to do that in 2026. But let me tell you what happened in 2025. So in 2025, I read probably like half lit fic and half fantasy, and then there were a couple of other things thrown in there like romance and things that kind of got in the middle of it. But my favorite reads last year were The Emperor of Gladness, Before I Let Go. I read the first two Game of Thrones last year, so that would have been a Game of Thrones and a Clash of Kings. And then besides that, like I read The Handmaid's Tale all the way through. And I read a ton of memoir. I forgot to mention that like a lot of what I read was memoirs, probably like a third memoir or biography, or memoir or autobiography. Anywho, oh no, I forgot Jane Eyre. I loved Jane Eyre as well. So I had a lot of things in there that I really loved, really enjoyed. But I also had a lot of things that I put down because I was like on to the next. Like it was awful. It was awful. And it's not to say that you shouldn't allow yourself to mood read or pick up things that look fun and exciting and things like that. It's not as though you shouldn't do that. It's more that like don't let the reason that you're putting down books and picking up books be like book talk or booktube pressure, because that is just insane. It's insane to pressure yourself with like trends and things like that. And so towards the end of the year, I felt like I started getting it together a little bit, and I slowed down, and by slowing down I actually kind of sped up my reading, and so I ended up having a pretty good end of the year. That all being said, what am I doing differently for 2026? For 2026, I have decided that I will not be doing like a Goodreads reading challenge that is tied to some sort of like I have to read this amount of books. And so I'm not doing a quantity-based challenge. Instead, I am doing Janany from This Story and Over. I'm doing her anti-brain rot reading challenge, or partially. I'm probably not going to be able to do the whole thing, but I'm doing it like to some degree. And I'm also taking into account that I'll be giving myself a personal curriculum. Some of my curriculum is based off of a class I'm actually taking, and then some of it's based off of what I want to learn more about. I really want to focus on reading quality over quantity. And so that's kind of like the long and short of where I'm going for this year. Like that's what I want to do, is I want to pick up things that I'm excited about. I don't care if they are brand new. I don't care if they came out last year or if they're coming out this year. Of course, there are a few things I'm excited about, but my main focus in all of this is to read books that I gravitate towards. And it's going to be a lot of literary fiction. It's going to be a lot of memoir, and it's going to be a lot of classics, and then there'll be a sprinkle of fantasy in there. That's just that's how I read, and so I really want to honor myself and the way that I read and not get caught up in stuff like I have been. This story ain't over. So Jenny's challenge is geared towards reading diversely. It's geared towards reading diversely, but not in the way that we think about it. One of the things that she talks about is how when we're reading literature, we're either reading from our own experience, and so like, but then the other thing is we're also reading from like dead people in Black literature or in literature written by Black people. We tend to gravitate towards like classics, and what that means is we're reading just dead people. There's value in reading like people who've passed, but there's also value in reading people who are still out there producing work. And so something that I'm doing differently this year is like, I still am gonna read Toni Morrison and Baldwin because like I love them, but I'm also going to make it a point to read people who are still in the realm of the living. And so another thing is she's, you know, suggesting that as you're trying to decide how to read diversely, like don't pick the countries that are always picked in literature, or countries that are maybe overshared and over magnified, when there are other places whose writers also need, you know, to be. Also, can I just say, this is like a tiny little departure, but Houston, as I speak, is getting ready to experience their winter storm, which basically means it's going to get really cold outside for a couple of days. And I'm from New York, so I don't necessarily understand why the cold is so scary. I don't know, I don't understand it, but I am going to take that as my opportunity to indulge in extremely cozy behaviors. And I've got so many library books, which I think I showed in my last video, and I've got so many other things that I'm finishing up, and so I'm just like really, really excited. Okay, anyways, so that all aside, so my personal curriculum is really geared toward just reading really, really good work that inspires me, work that mirrors the kind of stuff that I'm trying to do myself with my own writing. And so there'll be a lot of literary fiction, there'll be a lot of poetry, and I'm excited because I think that will reinvigorate me in my writing processes. And so I'm just excited to do that. Oh, I forgot, I also have yarn. I'm making a little I'm making a bag I saw out of granny squares. So that's like my little project for right now. I'm really, really excited about this project. I think it's gonna be so fun and so cute. And you only need 3 granny squares to make it. So I'm super excited about that. Okay, what else? My other component of personal curriculum is related to parenting, and so I'll be reading some articles on parenting and some books on parenting, and I just want to refocus, because I am, as every parent probably can relate to, like different stages of life for your children are just so weird because you haven't experienced them before. And so I don't know what it's like to have an 8-year-old outside of my own experience of having an 8-year-old. And, you know, obviously his brother is 6, and maybe not obviously, but his brother is 6. And so I've had a 6-year-old before because the older one was 6 at one point. But they're very different children. And so I want to read more about personalities. I'm planning on reading the Enneagram for kids because I think it'll help me understand a little bit about how to approach conversations with my kids and things like that. And so I have a couple of books I want to read concerning that. Most notably is the Enneagram for Kids, Raising Good Humans, and I may reread 1, 2, 3 Magic, but I'm definitely going to reread The Highly Sensitive Person. Just things that I think will help me, will better arm me for this new chapter in parenting. And so that's something that's really important to me, and yeah, that's the road I'm going down. concerning things related to nutrition and stuff. So I'm going to be reading This Is Your Brain on Food. I'm going to be reading Inflammation Spectrum, and I'm also taking a nutrition course. And so I'm in my first nutrition certification, and this is something I wanted to do for a really, really long time. It's something that I am really, really passionate about, and so it's, I don't know, I'm just really excited to get this certification, because in a couple months there's another level that I want to take that is going to focus more on what's going on in the GI tract, and I'll be able to answer some more questions for myself about female health and nutrition, which I think is a little bit different for, you know, from nutrition for men, just because we have different needs and things like that. And so I already intuitively understand a lot about the female body just because of being female and things like that. But what I'd like to do is fill some gaps and just learn more, and then have that certification so that if I want to share some things that I'm learning, I can do it without it being like inappropriate, or without it being, I don't want to do something like that if I don't have like a cert to back it up, is basically what I'm trying to say. And so part of me growing in my life, in my like social media ecosystem, part of what I would like to do in this, you know, space is talk about the things I'm eating and why I'm choosing to eat the things I'm eating. And soon I will have what I feel I need to do that more publicly. And so I'm really, really excited about that. What else is going on? Oh, and then there are a couple of things that I'm reading that are meant to help me better engage in my work and better help me figure out work-life balance and things like that. So I've been going through some transitions in my work, and you know, the job market is a little strange to say the least, which is fine. Things are definitely picking back up, which is also great. And so just in preparation for what's going to likely be a very busy season for me, I want to read The 4-Hour Work Week, and I want to, why am I doing this? Because I want to approach my life with more balance. Typically, I get really burnt out really quickly in my job, and it doesn't mean I can't do my work. It just makes it that much more difficult to do my work. And so what I'm hoping for by doing what I'm planning to do, like by reading The 4-Hour Work Week, by reading some more like psychology about just myself and things like that, I'm hoping that I can get ahead of some of those things that I will struggle with. We're making decisions about whether or not we're having dessert, and so it's very, very important. Yeah, but I just want to make sure that I'm balanced. I want to make sure also that I recognize that my work extends beyond just my like corporate jobs. Like I have other things that I need to be better about considering work, such as my writing and even this, because I like how disciplined this has made me. It might not seem like it, but essentially for the last 8 months, there have been like maybe 3 weeks that I've skipped, but like pretty consistently I've done this, and for no other reason than I just wanted to do something I liked and do something that was fun and engage in like the book community more fully. And so I really want to treat this like an aspect of my work, because I believe it deserves that level of attention. I just do. And so that's something that I am doing. Okay, what else might I want to share with you? I'm reading, okay, so I am just finishing up Hamnet. It took a little longer than I anticipated to read, but that's just because I was being stubborn. I have this thing where I make myself feel like not so great about needing to use audiobooks here and there, or to like go back and forth between, or have the audiobook playing while I read along, because it makes me feel like my attention span is suffering and things like that, and it is. And so like I want to just be real about that, but I feel like it makes me feel bad about myself almost, that my attention span has dwindled, or things have changed for me, or I'm in a season where because I'm, you know, worried about this or that or the other, it's hard to focus on reading. Like, it just is. So instead of having like 3 physical books, I'm in a place where I need to have like maybe one physical, one Kindle, and one audio, like consistently. And if I try to read too much physically at the same time, or too much physically like consecutively, I kind of burn myself out a little bit. And that's just kind of where my brain is right now. And so I'm trying to be accepting of that. And part of that was letting myself listen to a few chapters of Hamnet on audio, and doing that has really, really helped my brain. Like, it's really, really helped me feel good, you know? And so that happened. I am starting Wuthering Heights today, which I'm so excited about, because y'all know that in about 3.5 weeks it's coming out on in theaters, and I'm so excited to see that for like Valentine's Day or Valentine's week, whenever that happens. Yeah. The other thing that I have been doing, which I talked about already, is I've been keeping track of what I'm reading in this little like journal I made for myself. I know it's ugly, but like I had this old work journal, and I just was like, well, I may as well use it for something. And so, ooh, that looks, yeah. So I annotated loved one, and I wrote loved one notes in here, and I'm finishing up annotating for Hamnet, and then the Safe Keep, which was Jack Edwards' book club pick for January. I'm gonna be reading that while I read Wuthering Heights. And so that's gonna be really, really fun. And all of this is in conjunction with my nutrition coursework that I have to be reading for. And so I'm having a great time. I'm having a great time. And so this has been really helpful. One thing that I'm really excited about doing is I'd like to order a journal, and I'm trying to figure out where I'm gonna order it from, because I do journal. I had like a book journal, and then this is like the, you know, what I take everywhere with me. Like, this is the journal that I take when I go places. And I also have these that I keep with me, and because, you know, like annotating on the go, like they're very thin, and so you see. And then I have, I don't know where it is. Where is it? I think it's in my bedroom, but I do have my book journal that's more like a bullet journal, like for pretty. I have that as well, but I don't really use it that often. I've been using the same one for like 1.5 years. I just don't use it very often. But I want to get, because I'm about to run out of space in this one. This is my last little bit left. And so I want to order one of those like traveler's journal things and use that. I like to carry along with me, because I do have some here that I can replace this with, although like this is my favorite kind. So I don't know, I'm thinking about taking it more seriously, because I do journal so often these days, and so I might do that. Yeah, so I'm thinking about getting a new journal and having a couple in there. I don't like the passport size, because I like space, and so I want to definitely get something this size. And what I think I'll do is, once I finish filling these up in future, I'll have my book journal be the same size. Oh, there is one more thing. So part of the anti-brain rot reading challenge is having a multimedia journal where you talk about the things you are consuming and you write a review. And so I am challenging myself to do that. I would like to write a review for not every single thing I consume, but definitely for every book I read, which I've never done before. Like, I've never written reviews for books I read. I've never done it. I just never done it. And so I want to do that. And the first book that I finished this year, I believe, was Loved One. Like, the first book that I read fully this year was Loved One. So I'll be doing that. And for things that I was very serious about when I consume them, I'll do it as well. So like, I recently watched War and Peace, the one that the BBC did limited series on. And so I am thinking about doing it 2 ways. So like, I already watched it and I was planning to use my journal to go through it while I was watching it, but I was just so engrossed I couldn't take the time to slow down and and so I think what I'm gonna do is I may rewatch it because it was just that good, and I would like to record my thoughts for that. What else? Because I watched The Handmaid or The Housemaid, but I don't think I'm gonna record anything for that. But I would love to do it for just things I'm really like serious about. And so War and Peace, I love so much. I loved reading the book, and I think it would be really fun to record my thoughts and like write a proper review after I finish the episodes again. So that one, and definitely Wuthering Heights, and maybe some of the Emily Henry things that are coming out in the nearest future as well. That's what at least I'm thinking about. Hello, can I help you? Hello, Holly. Hello to you too. Anyway, so that's what I'm thinking I'm gonna do. But yeah, so I just wanted to give you guys an update, let you know what was going on, what I was thinking about, and what my plans are for 2026, and how they're going to be so different from what I did in 2025, because arbitrary, like, number-based reading goals, they're just not it. They're just not it, guys. They're just not it. If that's what works for you and like that kind of challenge works for you, I think that that's fantastic. I think it worked for me, in past years, like in previous years, but as of now, I just don't think that it does anything good for me except for give me something else to try and be a perfectionist about. And we just don't need that energy over here. So I'm not gonna do it anymore, but that's all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed this little update. More book specific content to come, and probably more of other kinds of content too. I'm just trying to feel my way through what makes the most sense right now, and so we'll see. But yeah, that's all I got. So thanks so much. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.